So another collection of old tech has gotten the better of me in the sense that it was very cheap and some interesting stuff. So I went ahead and picked it up, and we're going to take a look at it. Right off the bat, we've got a Toshiba Pentium laptop here. We'll dig through each item a little more in depth, pull them out of the box here, and take a look at what we have first. We have a PowerBook 540C. Let's see if I can get this camera view. I'm trying out a new camera setup here, so we'll see how this goes. I'm assuming a lot of this is not going to be working, but still could be good for parts machines. We have a TI 99 4A. Again, pretty disgusting here. Looks like that is caught on some things. We have a ColecoVision, a console that I have seen a few times in person, but never had experience with growing up. I believe all the cords are in place. And then we have the Odyssey 2 console with the voice add-on. This is actually probably the first console I ever played on was the Odyssey. My grandparents had one with the voice edition, so that'll be fun to go back and experience. The controllers are all hardwired onto that. Alright, so I've got a little bit of the detangling out of the way. There is this terrible Sharper Image novelty oversized remote. I think that is going straight in the trash. We have a compact battery, which may be for that Toshiba. I doubt it works, so that's. We have the Chisholm Trail command module for the TI 99. The Attack for the TI 99. Looks like we've got our ColecoVision remote or controller. I always thought these controllers were interesting, though I know they're not optimal. But having that, they have a card that you can actually slide out with different overlays for different games. This one is obviously disgusting, so we'll have to get everything cleaned up and do some testing at some point. So we have at least one Odyssey game. I believe this was the pack-in game that came with the Odyssey 2, which is Speedway, Spinout, and Crypto Logic. So three carts on one. Looks like we have an Xbox 360 power supply. We have Carnival for the ColecoVision. So far we're doing pretty good on the carts. We've got at least one cart for each system that was in here. I think I see another cart down there, or actually a couple. There's the other ColecoVision controller. And we have an Xbox original controller. Might actually be okay. It looks pretty gross on these thumbsticks, but yeah. I believe I'd never actually had the original Xbox. I've played on it a few times. I believe this is the Duke, as they call it, the kind of the very large original controller for that Xbox. Next up, we have Twisted Edge for the N64. We have the power supply for the N64. That's kind of a nice find, just as a spare Oh, Hunt the Wumpus for the TI-99. And we have Q-Bert, another classic for the ColecoVision. There's the Coleco power supply. We have our two controllers that are hardwired onto the Odyssey. Yeah, it feels just how I remember playing at my grandparents' house with that squeaky, sort of springy button that it has on there. So I think that is primarily it. There's a few other AC adapters. It has TI on there. This one says Odyssey 2. This one also says Odyssey 2, so they may have had needed a replacement, so I'll have to check out the power supplies. So let me get the bench cleared off here a bit, and we'll kind of dig in and do some testing on some of these items and see what we have. So as you saw, a lot of the items are very beat up and not in the best condition, but this one is not too bad outside of definitely some scratching on the outside of the case. So this is the Toshiba Satellite laptop, the first item I pulled out. Let's take a look on the outside. You've got a floppy, 3.5-inch floppy disk drive with the actually the disk that probably came with the system still in the drive. I've got some indicator lights across the front for your power, disk access, all the normal things there. On the side, we've got headphone, microphone, and speaker out with a volume. There is a control on the screen for brightness or contrast. Looks like probably contrast. We've got a CD-ROM built in. We've got a single USB port, a combination keyboard and mouse PS2. There is a 15-volt, looks like center positive power adapter. I do have a barrel jack that is compatible, and we'll hook it up on the bench power supply and give it a power on test. We've got a VGA serial parallel port, looks like an IR, built-in fan for cooling the system. And we've got our standard Kensington lock, the power button, two PCM CIA ports. Looks like we're missing some little covers for the screws on the sides of the screen. And on the bottom, I am noticing a number of the screws are missing. 1, 2, 3. One here on the memory. And so we've got a model number PA S253U. Inside it's in pretty good condition actually. The screen looks pretty clear. No signs of discoloration on there. Keyboard feels pretty good. Got a little bit of a bounce to it, so not the greatest setup there. It does have the track point. It doesn't feel like it has any movement to it. I'm not real familiar with using those though, so I'm not sure if there is any movement or much movement to them, or if it's just sort of very sensitive and doesn't actually move very much. And otherwise, cosmetically, the inside looks pretty good. I think the next thing we'll try doing is giving it a power up and see what we get. So we've got the bench power supply hooked up, set at 15.6 volts roughly, just giving a little extra above the 15 that it is mentioning as the requirement. Let's go ahead and give it a try. I'm not super hopeful on this one as there are some screws missing on the bottom, so somebody probably has already been into this, taking a look at it, but potentially we could track it down. I'm not going to go super in-depth in this video on troubleshooting. Thought I would do a quick power on tests on some of these items and see where we're at, and possibly do some quick fixes if we find something we can take a look at. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Yeah, I'm getting no life. Try holding it down. Still nothing, no lights. Really seems like we're getting no life out of it. So I think those will probably go into maybe a future video where we'll open it up and dig into it a little bit. potential there could be a leaky CMOS battery, some other issue in there, and we can dig in and take a look. Next up, we have the PowerBook 540C. This one again is in pretty rough shape. The battery, I've already taken it out. Unfortunately, the outer cover on the battery is broken, and there is signs of corrosion both on the battery contacts and on this metal piece here, so that will require some cleanup. But taking a kind of a quick look at the outside, I'm not sure these the grooves here on the front look like there might be pieces of plastic chipped off on either side, but the button is working there. We've got a power indicator. I believe there was dual batteries. This can slide in on either side, so we probably had 2 batteries on either side on the front. We've got a floppy drive. We've got a unique power connector, so that's going to be problematic for testing. It looks like there are 4 terminals in there, so probably 2 different voltages it's taking in. I might be able to rig up something, but probably not for today's video. We have a series of ports. I'm not actually familiar with all of these from the older Macintosh laptops. Looks like speakers. No, this is speaker line in possibly. We've got a serial networking video, external SCSI modem, and I'm not 100% sure on that port. I'd have to look up that one. So a nice array of ports on the back. A lock, security lock port. On the bottom, the feet look pretty beat up. The screws are pretty rusted, and those same Torx heads. These are kind of nice. There's some feet for elevating the laptop when in use. Actually, let me show a side view of that. So for getting a little elevation to the keyboard there. Let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. So inside, not too terrible. Some of this is still the dust from the original. I did do a brief wipe down, but there's still dust coming out from various crevices in the system. Keyboard feels pretty good. I believe this was one of the first, if not the first, Apple laptop with a trackpad. Outside of the 2 sides being missing with the batteries, I think just even cosmetically it's kind of a cool collection piece. But as mentioned, with the power connector being kind of a unique item and there not being the power adapter, I'm not going to be able to do a power on test on this, but I just wanted to take a closer look. So the next item pulled from the wreckage was the TI 994A. This is the later beige model. That was the kind of the cost reduced towards the end of its life. I do have a working TI 994A of the sort of the stainless steel and black variety, which will probably help a lot in troubleshooting this machine if there are issues. It's got the cartridge port here, and we did have 3 carts that were included: Chisholm Trail, the Attack, and Hunt the Wumpus. So those just slide in right here. I'll wait till I get the contacts cleaned up a bit before we try that. On this side, we've got a keyboard or a joystick port. We've got our video port and power, another joystick connector, a expansion port on the side here. Looks like our bottom RF shield is pretty rusted there, so that's not a great sign. And we do have a single key that's missing. Overall, the keys feel decent. This keyboard, or the space bar, has definitely seen better days. Not functioning very well on the sides. It might just be missing the support metal bar underneath, if that was even a thing for this keyboard. I've done a quick wipe down of the outside, nothing too in-depth. We don't even know if the machine works yet, but it was a little gross to even touch it at that point. So I just wanted to get the buttons and the switches and things a little bit cleaned up. So I think we're ready to do some testing on this machine. The power adapter that came with it has 4 output pins, and on the adapter itself we see between pins 1 and 2 we should be getting 18 volts, and 2 and 4 we should be getting 7.5. So let me go ahead and plug this in and let's give it a test. So we've got the adapter plugged in. So I believe between 1 and 2 we should have 18 AC, 19.7, that looks fine. And then 2 and 4 should be 8-ish. Okay, so I think the power supply looks good. The other item is that the RF adapter that came with this computer is a little mangled up, so it doesn't have the 2 Y prong adapters to be able to hook to the back of the TV on the VHF terminal. I'm going to break out the adapter from the other TI I have. So you can see this one's in much better condition. An interesting thing to note, it does also have a protection light LED on there. So we'll go ahead and hook up this one to the TV, and I'm back in a second and we'll give it a power on. I think we're ready to test now. Let's get the TV on 3 and let's give it a try. No go. I am hearing a sound. It's hard to tell if it's coming from the TV. I guess I could try turning the TV off. It's coming from the unit itself. So it's kind of like a kind of a buzzing sound. So let's pop it open and take a look. The fact that it was having just no signs of life, I think the first thing to check would be the power supply and the kind of the buzzing sound we were hearing. I did remove 2 screws here. Okay, that's probably going off to power the system. This is the cable coming in. Oh, and immediately we get, so it looks like a 25 volt 1000 microfarad. You can see there is a burn showing on the end of the capacitor there. So I'm definitely thinking that is our culprit, at least the first thing to replace. Not seeing any other obvious issues with the other caps. Let me see if I have a part for that. If not, I'll get one ordered, and you'll be seeing this after I have received that replacement. So I haven't found a exact match in the form factor, at least. This is a coaxial, whereas this is with both the leads on the same side, but they're both rated 25 volt, 1000 microfarad. So I believe we should be able to swap that out and at least give it a test, and I can always find a more suitable replacement, but that will at least let us confirm if that is the issue. So I've taken out the burned capacitor, and we have placed a new vertically oriented capacitor in its place for now. I made sure to get the orientation correct. I'm thinking what I can do is the power from this power board is connected to the computer via this connector, and we have indicators of 5, ground, plus 12, and minus 5. We can probably just hook up the external power supply, switch this on, and confirm these voltages. So even after replacing the capacitor on the original power supply, I'm not getting the correct voltages on the output pins that would be powering the motherboard. So what I've done is grabbed the power supply from my working TI-99. One thing I thought was interesting, so this is the newer cost improved model, and the one that I have is the older black and stainless steel, and it has the power LED that goes out the front. On the cost-lowered version, you can tell they actually use the same power supply boards, as the LED was actually soldered in but just cut off. But otherwise the boards are identical, and I have confirmed I am seeing the correct voltages on these pinouts. So let's go ahead and hook this up and get the video plugged in and give it a try. We're on channel 3, going in through the RF, and the moment of truth. There we go. Looks like a working system other than the power supply board. I did look up, and these are available online for about 20 bucks, so potentially might be an easier solution just to order some new old stock power supply board versus the time of troubleshooting the power supply itself. It was worth a try on that capacitor, just because it was obviously had a burn mark on there, but didn't seem to solve it. So otherwise I think we're good. Let me get this flipped over just so we can do some quick testing. I'm not going to run through everything on the system, but I'd like to see if the keyboard works. Alright, we have the system flipped over. That's working. TI Basic. Got no zero key. Shift was not working. Is there a backspace? That could be problematic. So mostly working on the keyboard. Let's just try a cart real quick. Contacts for Hunt the Wumpus look to be in pretty good shape. Of course, I probably need a joystick attached, which I don't have at the moment, but looks like everything is working. So I think this will be a system for another video in the future, where we'll possibly install a new power supply board and clean it up a little bit more, see if we can find a replacement key for that number 7, and get it all cleaned up nice, and it should be a nice system for the collection. And then one final thing I wanted to do was take a look at the two TI 99s next to each other. This was my working model that I already had, and this is the one that I had picked up that we just did the testing, where the power supply board will need replaced, but we did confirm that it works with a swapped out power supply. Then we had the 3 cartridges that were picked up with the machine, so I figured I would do a quick run through testing those on the original TI. We'll start with Hunt the Wumpus that we had seen working, I believe, earlier. I'm not getting sound for some reason, so I need to look into that. I don't know if it's the RF adapter I'm using. But that appears to be working. Next up we have the Attack. And that looks to be working as well. I don't know if it's the machine or the RF adapter. We're getting some weird horizontal shifts in the signal. So that cartridge looks to be working. And then finally we have Chisholm Trail. Probably a play on the Oregon Trail maybe. Okay. Makes sense in Texas with this being a Texas Instruments machine. Yeah, looks to be working. So that was the TI machine. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next up, we have the ColecoVision. This is a system that I have played a few times in person, but didn't have this growing up, and hadn't actually seen one probably until the 2000s. So I'm excited to get this working. I'm going to start off by confirming the power on these pins. So it looks like we should have +5, -5, and 12 volts. So we've got our +5, -5, and our 12. So power supply looks to be good. Okay, got everything hooked up. It's in the off position. We're on channel 3. I don't know if it actually shows anything without a gain, but that looked promising. If it's anything like the NES. Oh, we have signs that it's trying to work. Let me try switching over to channel 4. Just in case that might be the issue. And give it a try again. That's closer. Let's looks like it wants to work and then it sort of fades out. Like you can start to see the ColecoVision. It's holding on there, but it's not going any further. But we are getting to a point where the CPU is working. Oh, at least partially working. That's looking like there could be some memory issues. We're getting repeating patterns. Definitely something is off for sure here. Let's do a reset. That looks better, but then it starts to fade out. Like certain blocks of memory are dropping out, and the picture is terrible, obviously. Let's try the other game just to be sure it's not something potentially with certain data not reading off the cart. I assume that startup screen, well, maybe not. The startup screen might be, it could just be some dirty contacts even. Again, I think we're not getting good connection, or there is actually something wrong. Let's give it some deoxit here. Deoxit D5, contact cleaner. So we will have the power off. Give it some little bit of cleaner here. Just in case we're just not getting good contact. It's not looking much better. In fact, probably worse. Again, it starts out okay, but then goes bad pretty quick there. But the buttons were responding. On the push 1 for skill. No, maybe not here. I did see it switch over at one point when I did hit the button, but with how off it is right now, I'm thinking there's definitely something we need to look at inside. So This could be a more in-depth troubleshooting, again, than I want to get into in this video, but let's take a quick look inside and see if we notice anything that looks obvious. Okay, so it is apart. That was mildly terrifying. The bottom actually pries out of this groove and sort of locks into place. But looks like we're all out without any plastic breakage, so that is good. So nothing looks immediately off. I do see some very mild, no, that's just some dirt. Thought I might have seen some corrosion there, but no, I think we're good. Everything looks surprisingly clean for how disgusting this casing was. I believe we only have 2 screws holding us down here. Initial inspection looks pretty good on the bottom of the board. I think it could do with a good cleaning, but nothing is jumping out to me initially. It did seem like we were getting processor type issues, not just video signal, so we were actually getting memory and things being off. So let me do a quick cleanup, and we'll do one more final test before moving on to the next system. So I've done some minor cleaning up, few places where it looked like debris or things could have been causing some issues, but not super hopeful. But let's give it another try here. After the cleaning. Yeah, that looks a little more promising. Still a ton of noise in the signal. So button 2 is responding. We've got sound. It's like I can move left, but not right. So I can't move right, but I can move left, and the left trigger button is working, but not the right. Let's try the other controller. See if we get the same. So this controller, I'm not getting any responses, so that might be the issue. Just needs to clean up the contacts a bit. And we're getting some odd distortions again now. But I think we've proved at least the system is working. We'll definitely need some further maintenance and cleanup. Again, for this video, I just kind of wanted to do a quick test, take some notes, and then we'll revisit in a future video and kind of refurbish the systems a bit. So let's move on to the next one. So the last system is the Odyssey 2 with the voice add-on. As I mentioned, this is probably one of the ones I'm most excited to get working, as this was one of the first consoles I played growing up at my grandparents' house. Unfortunately, I didn't hold on to that collection when they got rid of it at some point. They had all the probably 20 games still in the boxes and kept really good care of the system. But I'm excited to have this one, and we'll see if we can get it working. I think we're ready to go. And nothing. We'll try channel 4. Same thing. Back to 3. Power cycle. And we're getting nothing. I don't remember on the Odyssey if it will show a picture without a game in place, but it looks like we're getting the same result with or without the game. Let's try removing the voice addition. Possible if something has gone wrong with that add-on. Maybe it's drawing too much power, or something else could be off there. Okay, now we're directly on the console itself. And again, no signs of life. It's a bit annoying that they don't have even like a power indicator on the system, so it's hard to know if it is responding outside of the video signal. But I'm using the same RF adapter on the back of the TV. The Odyssey just has the RCA style connector coming right out of the unit, and that should be good to go, assuming we're getting correct functioning of the system. Doesn't look like we are, so I think next up the option would be to go ahead and open it up and take a look inside. Another annoying thing with the Odyssey is the controllers are hardwired in, so it makes it a little more difficult to work on. Alright, at least on the bottom of the board, not seeing anything obvious. Looks like we've got two more. Interesting, they've got the switch for channel 3 and channel 4 internal. So if you did want to switch it, you would have to open the system up. I don't think it would be anything with this connection. It looks like the they basically just have an RCA extension going from the internal RF generator to the outside. So let's go ahead and pop these guys off. Wondering if we can just undo this guy. That should give us a little more slack. That is the video signal. And then I believe we just have the power switch. And then a connector for each of the controllers, and we are free. So there's really not a whole lot to go wrong on here even. We've got a few capacitors. Nothing looking bulging on the caps. These are kind of interesting. I wonder what the deal is with these. They're almost like insulator blankets they've placed over these two resistors. I'm not sure what that would be about. Got a crystal here. There's a couple of adjustable potentiometers, it looks like. Another adjustable item there. So I'll have to check the schematics a bit. So after a little further inspection of the board, I think I may have found the issue. The barrel jack's actually loose, and you can see the solder points shifting around as I shift the barrel jack, which are obviously not making then connection with the traces on the board. So I'm going to look into scraping back a little bit of the mask on these two traces and seeing if I can re-solder that over. And then potentially I could use some hot glue or something or even just super glue to secure this barrel jack in place better. Because those pads that it's soldered to are just lifted right off the board. So either connecting at that point or jumpering further in somewhere should solve that issue, and would align with the issue we were seeing, I think, where we're just getting no power on at all, which makes sense to me. So let me see if I can get that connected up, and then we can potentially do a test. So I've added 2 bodge wires from the 2 pins of the barrel jack. This is just as a support pin on the side there, and the top one was the center pin of the barrel jack, and it was coming over and connecting to this header pin right here, and then the other is the outer connector of the barrel jack. Followed that trace over to here, which I believe is going to our switch. So we should have good continuity now, no matter where that barrel jack is moving, and I'll add some support later. But for now I wanted to go ahead and get a test going. Let's go ahead and get everything hooked up and give it a try. We've got power hooked up. We have our video signal still going. I've reconnected the controllers, the video signal, the ground over to the RF. I think everything should be ready for a test outside of the cart being in. Maybe we'll do a quick test. I don't remember if the Odyssey has any... Oh! That looks promising. So let's see if I can flip this over. Let's put in our game. And here we go. We got it. Of course, it's tuned in terribly, but it's working. Interesting. So it might... Well, no, that controller was working for the last game. Why? Oh, now it is working. Okay. There we go. Oh, but our down is not working. Okay, that's... So left, right, and up is working, but not down. How about with this controller? Up, down, left, right. So all of them are working on this controller. I wonder if I can mess with the tuning a bit on the inside. Let me reset again. So I think there was 4. 2 or 3, and then 4 is crypto logic. I believe this was a game where you could type in a word. And enter. And then it scrambles the word, and then the next person has to come and guess your word. I don't know how many guesses you get. I guess it's infinite until you guess the correct word. And the number of guesses. So that's working. Another fix. Again, definitely not tuned in very nicely, but let me open it up and just take a quick peek and see if I can tune it in a little better. So with the tuning options that were available, I think that was the that was about as good as we were going to get. For now, at least. Probably need to do some recapping or some other adjusting to clean up the picture a little bit. But I'm excited that we got it working. And actually, I do want to try the voice, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't think we'll get any voice with the current game, so I'm not sure we'll be able to test it. We can at least confirm that the game is still working with the voice installed. So let's go ahead and do that. Appears to be working with the voice in place. So I think that just about wraps up this video. We were able to get the Odyssey, the ColecoVision, and the TI-99 working. The two laptops did not work, as far as I know, and we'll have to revisit those in the future. The Apple specifically, I'll need to find the correct power adapter or build a adapter of some sort to be able to facilitate testing that one. I'll have to potentially revisit some of these in the future and do a little bit more cleaning. I did test the N64 Twisted Edge game. I haven't taken it apart and really scrubbed the connector, but I did do a quick IPA cleaning, but I'm not too bummed because this is not the greatest snowboarding game. 1080 is much better on the N64. It's still interesting to find an N64 game. I did test the N64 PowerBook, and it works just fine, so that was good. And also the Xbox controller, I haven't been able to test that as I don't have an Xbox. I think that wraps it up, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.